Welcome to the Nightmare Zoo. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
I went to Goatman's Bridge. My friend was taken. True story. The old asphalt ends at the bridge. We call it Crybaby Bridge, but the babies ain't what cries there. The steel beams are scabbed with rust. The wood planks are rotted through. You can see the black water of the Patuxent River sliding underneath, slow and cold. They say he was a scientist. They say he worked at the lab up the road, the one they don't talk about. An accident. Something that spliced man and goat into one shrieking thing. They shot it. They thought they killed it. It just crawled into the woods to get better, to get hungrier. We went there on a dare. Me, Jake, and Lisa. The car died the second our tires hit the bridge. Not a sputter, a full stop. Like the silence itself reached up and choked the engine. The air got thick. It smelled like wet dog and old pennies. The woods on the other side were a wall of solid black. That's when we heard it. A thump, thump, thump on the roof. Like a fist. Then a scrape. Long and slow, like a nail dragging from the windshield to the trunk. Jake laughed. A nervous, shaky sound. Just a branch. There are no trees over the bridge. Lisa saw it first. She pointed a trembling finger at the passenger window. A face pressed against the glass. Not a face, a muzzle. Long, with matted gray fur. Lips pulled back from yellow teeth too big for its mouth. And eyes. Black, liquid eyes that held a mean, knowing intelligence. It smiled, and it was gone. Scrape. A hatchet dragged across the hood. Sparks flew in the darkness. THUD. Something heavy landed on the trunk, making the whole car rock. We were screaming. Jake fumbled for the keys, turning them over and over. The engine just clicked. A dead sound. A new sound started. A voice. It came from right outside my window. It was Jake's voice. Perfect. Hey, let me in. I got away. It's chasing me. Open the door. The real Jake was in the driver's seat, his face white with terror, shaking his head violently. The thing on the other side of the glass started to laugh. It wasn't Jake's voice anymore. It was a guttural, bleating laugh that broke apart into wet coughing. The driver's side window exploded inward. A long, hairy arm shot through the broken glass. It ended in a hand that was mostly human, but the nails were thick, black, and curved like talons. It grabbed Jake by the hair. He screamed, his hands clawing at the arm, but the strength was unreal. It was pulling him hard through the jagged window frame. Shards of glass ripped into his neck and shoulders. I heard a sickening pop from his shoulder socket. Blood sprayed the dashboard. Lisa was screaming, hitting the thing's arm with her flashlight. It didn't even notice. It got his head and one shoulder through the window. Then it stopped. It held him there, stuck, his body jerking. We heard a wet, tearing sound from outside, mixed with a sound like a butcher's cleaver hitting a thick cut of meat. Jake's body went limp. His sneaker fell off his foot and landed on the floor mat. The arm withdrew, dragging the rest of Jake out into the dark. We heard a heavy, dragging sound. Then a series of soft, hacking thuds. Then chewing. The engine turned over. Just like that, I slammed my foot on the gas. We fishtailed off that bridge, the car screaming. We didn't stop until we hit the highway. We were covered in Jake's blood. We sat there, shaking. That's when Lisa's phone buzzed. A text from Jake's number. 4 words. Thanks for the snack. I never went back. But sometimes, late at night, my phone will ring. The caller ID is just static. If I'm stupid enough to answer, all I hear is heavy breathing and the soft, rhythmic sound of a hatchet chopping wood. The old folks in our town don't call them woods. They call it the bramble, a tangle of thorns and shadows, so thick the sun forgets it by noon. My grandpappy said the bramble was old when the mountains were young. He said something dug a hole there long ago, a deep, wrong hole, and something else clawed its way out. It wasn't a man. It wasn't a goat. It wore bits of both, a ill-fitting suit of skin and fur, and it learned to talk by listening to the screams of lost children. I knew the stories. I swore I'd never go in. But then my little brother's ball rolled right to the edge of the tree line, just as the sky was bleeding orange. He took one step, then two. I shouted. He didn't listen. The bramble just swallowed him. 1 second he was there, the next, just shadows and silence. I had to go in. The air died the moment I crossed under the first gnarled branch. The world went quiet. No crickets, no wind. Just the thump of my own heart and the crunch of things under my feet that weren't to twigs. The path vanished behind me in seconds. The thorns reached out, not like plants, but like bony fingers, scraping my arms, pulling at my clothes. That's when the smell hit me. Wet dog, old meat, and something sweet underneath, like rotten honey. I called for my brother. My voice didn't echo. It just fell dead at my feet. A twig snapped, too loud. To my left, I turned. Nothing but shifting darkness. Then another. To my right, closer. They were hurting me. Deeper in, I heard a whimper. My brother. It came from a small clearing up ahead, where a single sickly moonbeam cut through the canopy. He was curled up by a dead tree, crying. I ran to him, relief flooding me. I grabbed his shoulder. He turned around. It wasn't my brother. Its face was long and narrow. A grotesque mask of leathery skin stretched over a goat's skull, with two twisted horns curling from its matted hair. Its eyes were the worst part, big, glassy, and solid black like a shark's. They held no thought, only a bottomless, hungry curiosity. It smiled with a mouth too full of yellow, needle-pointed teeth. It was wearing my brother's little jacket, the sleeves ripped at the seams to fit its long, bony arms. It let out a sound, a perfect mimic of my brother's sob, but it came out wet and gurgling, like it was choking on phlegm and malice. I stumbled back, screaming. The thing unfolded itself, rising to its full, terrifying height on legs that bent the wrong way, ending in cloven hooves that were caked in black mud and things I didn't want to identify. In one hand, it held a crude hatchet, the head a chunk of rusted metal tied to a handle with strips of raw, peeling hide. It took a step. Its joints popped and crackled. It bleated, a harsh, grating sound that echoed through the trees, and this time it was answered by two more from the darkness behind me. I was surrounded. It charged. It didn't run. It loped, a horrifying, unnatural gallop that covered ground too fast. I turned to run, and a second one dropped from a tree limb above me, landing with a soft, heavy thud. This one was smaller, its fur patchy, its single horn broken. It snapped at me with teeth that could strip bark. I ran blindly, thorns tearing at my face, branches whipping me. I could hear them all around me, the skittering of hooves on stone, the dry rustle of fur against thorny vines, their horrible, laughing bleats that almost formed words. Stay play, fresh meat. The hatchet whistled past my ear and buried itself in a tree trunk with a solid thunk. I didn't stop. I could see the lights of our house through the trees. So close. I burst from the bramble, falling into our backyard, scraping my hands on the gravel. I was sobbing, screaming for my dad. He came out, shotgun in hand. He saw my face and his went pale. He looked past me into the absolute blackness of the trees. Nothing moved. Then, a slow, deliberate clack, clack, clack sound. From the deepest shadow, a long, bony arm extended into the light of the porch. It wasn't a goat's leg. It was a man's arm, too long and thin, ending in fingers with thick, dirty nails. It dropped something into the grass. It was my brother's ball. It was wet and dark and covered in short, coarse brown hairs. The arm withdrew. The bramble went silent. We board up our windows before dusk now. We have locks on the inside of every closet door. We don't go out after dark. But last night, we heard it, right outside my window. A scratch at the glass. Then a voice. A perfect, worried mimic of my mother's voice. "Honey, are you okay in there? Let me in. I'm scared." It's learning. It's patient. It's got my brother's voice down perfect now, too. It's just waiting for one of us to forget, to listen, to open the door.